You can start, Prabhu.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Shanavatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyanthaste Abhadrani Vidonati Suritsatam नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया वत्ये उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 3, Text 10. Tatra sarvasrame nanu bharta samhita matra shvarshah klinnadhiyam cha mataram द्रक्षे चिरोत्कण्ठमना महर्षिभिः रुन्नीयमानं च मृडाध्वरध्वजम्. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. My sisters, my mother's sisters, and their husbands and their affectionate relatives must be assembled there. So if I go, I shall be able to see them, and I shall be able to see the flapping flags and the performance of the sacrifice by great sages. For these reasons, my dear husband, I am very much anxious to go. Purport. As stated before, the tension between the father-in-law and son-in-law persisted for a considerable time. Sati had therefore not gone to her father's house for a long while. Thus she was very anxious to go to her father's house, particularly because on that occasion her sisters and their husbands and her mother's sisters would be there. As it is natural for women, she wanted to dress equally to her other sisters and also accompanied by her husband. She did not, of course, want to go alone. Verse 11. त्वयेद्यदाश्च मजात्मया विनिर्मितं भाति गुणत्रयात्मकम् तथाप्यहं योषिदत्तत्विच्यते दीनादिद्रक्षे भवमे भविष्यतम्. Translation. The manifested cosmos is a wonderful creation of the interaction of three material modes or the external energy of the Supreme Lord. The truth is fully known to you, yet I am but a poor woman, and as you know, I am not conversant with the truth. Therefore, I wish to see my birthplace once more. Purport. Dakshayani Sati knew very well that her husband, Lord Shiva, was not very much interested in the glaring manifestation of the material world, which is caused by the interaction of three modes of nature. Therefore, she addressed her husband as Aja, which refers to one who has transcended the bondage of birth and death, or one who has realized his eternal position. She stated, the illusion of accepting the perverted reflection, the material or cosmic manifestation, to be real is not present in you because you are self realized. For you, the attraction of social life and the consideration that someone is father, someone is mother, and someone is sister, which are illusory relationships, is already over. But because I am a poor woman, I am not so advanced in transcendental realizations. Therefore, naturally, these appear to me as real. Only less intelligent person accept this perverted reflection of the spiritual world to be real. Those who are under the spell of the external energy accept this manifestation to be fact, whereas those who are advanced in spiritual realization know that it is illusion. Actual reality is elsewhere in the spiritual world. But as far as I am concerned, Sati said, I do not have much knowledge about self realization. I am poor because I do not know the actual facts. I am attracted by my birthplace and I want to see it. One who has attraction for his birthplace, for his body, and for other such items mentioned in the Bhagavatam is considered to be like an ass or a cow. Sati might have heard all of this many times from her husband, Lord Shiva, but because she was a woman, Yoshit, she still hankered after the same material objects of affection. The word Yoshit means one who is enjoyed. Therefore, woman is called Yoshit. In spiritual advancement, association with Yoshit is always restricted because if one is like a play doll in the hands of Yoshit, then all his spiritual advancement is at once stopped. It is said those who are just like playthings in the hands of a woman, Yoshit Krida Mrageshu, cannot make any advancement in spiritual realization. End of purport. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे. I seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas so that I can use today's lecture to purify myself. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to purify myself. I'm going to read from a lecture given by His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj. Please pardon me if I make any mistake in summarizing. So, Srila Prabhupada is giving the background and insight into human psychology, but not from an atheistic, speculative background. We know that scientists and psychologists, they do experiment on animals and determine how they will behave in certain circumstances and then extrapolate it on humans. But Srila Prabhupada is telling us that our consciousness is polluted by the three modes of material nature and then how to cleanse it. This is what stands him out compared to others. There are so many realizations that can be understood by reading Srila Prabhupada's books. Krishna consciousness is unlimited, but Srila Prabhupada was a faithful representative of previous acharyas and summarized their teachings as it is. He never claimed to be the only acharya or the sole author of the teachings that he presented. So in this section, there is discussion of family problems, which seem far from bhakti rasa. So why are we learning about it? This question may arise. Why are we discussing this family problem in such great detail? Well, for one, Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that people who are facing problems also come to bhakti. Artha, the word and the verse 760 in Bhagavad Gita says, Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukrito arjuna arto jigyasur artharthi jnani cha bharatarshabha. O best among the Bharatas, four kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. So, even in previous ages, there were family problems. And that is why Lord mentions that Arti, the distressed one, also comes to me. But there was no concept of separation, right? There was a family structure, the social structure that helped people deal with these problems. In fact, in our Sanskrit or ancient language, there is no word for separation, divorce, right? The word that is used in India right now, talaq, that is not a Hindi word or Sanskrit word, it's an Urdu word. So people were married for the sake of dharma, and wife is called Sahadharmini. So she is the one who follows the dharma along with husband and helps him follow the dharma. So that was the name of wife. Now, Srimad Bhagavatam is showing us the supreme dharma. So, which is explained in verse 1.2.6. Save pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adokshaje ahetukya apratihata yayatma suprasidati. The supreme occupation dharma for all humanity is that by which man can attain loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So, the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam is Bhakti Rasa, which comes from Ahaituki Bhakti. Now, why in Srimad Bhagavatam there is so much discussion of family affairs? Of course, Lord Shiva's family is not ordinary family. Everybody is an extraordinary personality in that family. Even Daksha, who is looking like a villain in this story, actually was a pious person and very qualified person. He must have followed Karma Kanda and Vedic rituals for many lifetimes and performed austerities to achieve the position of Prajapati that he was made by Lord Brahma. Now, Shuddha Bhakti is little different. In Shuddha Bhakti, all endeavors are done for Krishna. Tad Arthe, Krishna Arthe. But Karma Kanda is Mama Arthe, right? So that there are different motivations in Karma Kanda and pure devotional service. So it's possible that since Daksha was on a Karma Kanda platform and he was just a pious person, he offended Lord Shiva by insulting him. He did not recognize Lord Shiva's exalted position. After all, it's easy to misunderstand him. If someone walks in the temple with Trishul, with ashes smeared on his body, with snakes around the neck, then people will be astonished to see such a person, and sometimes he may not be allowed. So, uh, Lord Shiva is not easy to understand for everyone. He is the leader of the people who are completely untenable. And that is why he is called by the names of Pashupatinath, Bhutnath, Bholenath, etc. So he gives shelter to one and all. He gives shelter to the people who are not very qualified also. So from external appearance, it's not easy to understand him. Krishna is also not easy to understand. We have seen there are so many pastimes where people ask, oh, why Krishna did this, why Krishna did that. So Krishna, not only external appearance, even his pastimes are not easy to understand. So Daksha misunderstood uh, Lord Shiva and he did not follow the etiquette. Lord Shiva was to be respected and accommodated as son-in-law. These etiquette rules of ordinary dharma are there to regulate those tensions. That is why in Vedic culture we see that elders are to be respected, gurus are to be respected. Uh, in a relationship, husband should be respected because husband is supposed to be the guide of dharma, right? So the idea of family life in Vedic culture is that husband is pious, he follows all the rules and regulations, and he leads his family, his wife and children into following dharma. So he is not respected because he is male. He is respected because he follows dharma and he is the guide for the whole family, the guru for the whole family. Similarly, Brahmanas are respected at the level of Supreme Lord, right? Not because they are born in the caste, because of the activities they do. They voluntarily accept poverty, at least in previous times, Brahmanas did not work. They just lived on charity and their role was to guide the society. in general, and not earn livelihood for themselves. So for that reason, they were respected, that they made that sacrifice. So uh, if Guru is respected the same way, then Supreme Lord will be pleased. So this we can see this is a regulatory system for the society to function properly. Otherwise, in the material world, there are conditioned souls, and there will always be tension between conditioned souls because everybody is trying to be the enjoyer and the controller. So if there is no regulatory system and this etiquette is not taught, then there will always be stress. Now, it may seem externally that women in a Vedic system are taking a socially subordinate role, but that is not entirely true. Actually, in Vedic system, there is a lot of respect given to women, and they are protected and they are revered, right? Whereas in the Western system, we see in the name of independence, women are exploited, right? And also, we see that in the name of independence, people are not willing to sacrifice, they are not able to adjust, and then everybody ends up being alone, right? That I cannot stand somebody, I cannot live with somebody, so it's better I live alone. This leads to depression and suicide. That's why we see there is such a big problem of substance abuse and depression in Western cultures than in Eastern culture. So, Srila Prabhupada is discussing these topics to guide the society. He has discussed these social matters more than any acharya in the history. In fact, we see in the seventh canto, Narad Muni also how he guides Yudhishthir Maharaj about proper dharma, right? So, where he explains the right culture, the right way of living the life, right? So, same way, Srila Prabhupada also gave a lot of guidance on this matter. Uh, so, this way, we can see how the society can live harmoniously and how uh, everybody gets a proper understanding of their role, right? We have seen the videos of women journalists, female journalists questioning Srila Prabhupada about the independence. But Srila Prabhupada used to explain to them that, you think you are independent and you are very free, but actually you are being exploited by the system. You are not being respected. Whereas in our culture, yes, women dress modestly and they follow certain rules and everything, but we have more respect for our women. Actually, Indian culture, the Vedic culture, is the only one where women are women goddesses are there, right? And even matrimonial, the matriarchal head of the family, we see our grandmothers, and they when the grandfather is no more, women play the role of the head of the household. So there is a lot of respect for women in our culture. It should not be just because they are submissive or they don't take a subordinate role. That doesn't mean they are weak or they are not respected. So uh, Srila Prabhupada knew that practicing Krishna consciousness will be difficult in this age because people don't know how to live a civilized life. And there is so much social chaos, right? But the Vedic system was designed in such a way to control Krodh, Kam, Lobh. And children uh, should be trained in the principle of dharma, right? In this modern age, the whole idea of society is to let us enjoy ourselves. Marriage is simply how we can enjoy. In this modern age, kids are getting the training from TV. They learn to buy this and that and all that, and in India also these imitations are happening right now. And it's the same culture that is pervaded there, right? So children think the parents' job is to provide them sense gratification. And parents are also trained by these corporates to do that. Whereas the truth is, parents should teach their children to have sense control, right? So this is why the social fabric is breaking down. We don't know how to execute the dharma. because we don't know what is dharma. Everyone is looking to exploit the other person. So coming back to the story, the Daksha developed this bad feeling because he was envious of Lord Shiva, right? If we think we can live by the ideas of modern age and still be Krishna consciousness and still follow Krishna consciousness, then it is not possible. Because the whole mood of modern age is promoting sense gratification, living life in the moment, no sense of self-sacrifice or duty, let alone how can we sacrifice life in service of the Supreme Lord. So even bhakti is done in a way that people think, what will I get in return? If I do this puja, what will be the benefit? If I do some charity, what will I get? So this is the problem. Whereas the Vedic literatures are teaching us a sense of selflessness in our bhakti, right? So that is why in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about, how demigod worship is done by less intelligent people because they have fruitive desires, right? So we need to understand that selflessness is the essence of bhakti, and without this, there is no possibility of doing the highest bhakti. And knowledge has become an acquisition, like a tool to exploit other people. In modern days, the knowledge is a tool to how to exploit other people, whereas the real knowledge is to know about ourselves and our relationship with the Supreme. So this story is important because it tells us how we can follow the paradharma, which is the spiritual duty, and at the same time, we need to follow the aparadharma, the material duties. So unless we follow the material duties properly, the family duties properly, we will not be able to follow the spiritual duties. With this, I would like to end. Please uh, forgive me, I took extra time. Vancha kalpatrubhyascha